Welcome to AIM Products for Nutrition That Works with AIM biologist and quality assurance manager, Philip Germain.
Welcome everyone to today's podcast. Today we're going to be discussing ProPeas. ProPeas is pea protein. Now if you're not familiar with ProPeas, that's exactly what it is. It is pea protein. There's not a lot of extra added to it, and there's no need for it. There's a little bit of sweetness that comes from the stevia, and then we have a little bit of natural vanilla flavor in there as well. We've had ProPeas in our product line for quite a few years now. We were one of the first pea protein products on the marketplace, and we've really figured out how to do it well. And one of the benefits of consuming pea protein as opposed to all the other assortment of proteins out there, you've got whey, you've got casein, you have soy proteins, hemp proteins. There's just this huge collection of proteins out there. One of the best things about pea protein is its ability to increase satiety. It's its ability to make you feel full. And this goes back to our ability to digest pea protein. So when we're digesting pea protein, we're actually increasing the levels of endocrine hormones to tell our brain we're full. So the absorption rate of pea protein as opposed to whey protein or soy protein is completely different. We absorb about 2.9 grams of protein per hour of pea protein. Now compare this to, say, a whey protein where you're absorbing about 10 grams per hour. So it's much slower. The absorption process is slower, which gives you that feeling of fullness. Now, if we're talking about bodybuilders, guys that are just wanting to get really, really big, they're looking for fast absorption. They want to get that protein absorbed as quickly as possible. But for dieters, those who want to lose weight, maintain weight, the slow rate absorption is going to be better because it's going to increase that satiety. And when we talk about protein in general, when we consume protein, the way our body processes is different than the way it processes, say, a carbohydrate or a fat. So as we age, our basal metabolic rate, our metabolism, it reduces, okay? It slows down. But when we consume protein, our body actually exerts extra energy to help digest it. And this increase in energy expenditure, it actually increases our metabolism. So when we're consuming protein, we're actually bumping up our metabolism. People always talk about, I've got this really slow metabolism. It's not fast. Protein's a way to increase it. If you're lacking protein in your diet, perhaps you're consuming maybe the wrong kinds of proteins. Pea protein is going to help you get back onto that track of having and maintaining a proper metabolism. There's this function. It is the thermal effect of food, or the TEF. It is an increase in metabolic rate with the ingestion of food. Okay, so just like we talked about with protein. The TEF of protein is equal to 25%. That is, so for every calorie of protein consumed, we burn 25% of it during the digestion process alone. Okay, that's how much we're kickstarting that metabolism. We're really stoking the fire when we're adding pea protein. Now, if we're talking about the TEF of carbohydrates, it's 8%. So it's no wonder that diets like Atkins diet or low-carb diets really have this benefit with weight loss because 8% versus 25%, carbohydrates are easily absorbed and processed by our body. So they don't really kickstart our metabolism, whereas protein, we got to work. We actually got to get work done to process and to make that protein absorbed. So that's going to kickstart our metabolism. And so a great way to keep that fire stoked is to portion out your pea protein throughout the day. So consuming ProPeas in the morning, midday, and towards the evening, you're going to keep that metabolism high all day long. One of the other things that we want to think about when we're consuming proteins is maintaining muscle mass in general, right? Because one of the things that occurs when we age is the muscle mass decreases in our bodies. Well, that muscle mass, it's important. We need to have muscle. We need it to protect our skeletal system. We need it to get up in the morning, get out of bed. We need it to move things around in the garage. We need it to bring groceries into the house. It's an essential part of our lives. And protein, specifically pea protein, is going to function in a great way of maintaining that muscle mass. And this kind of goes into what we talk about with amino acids. Pea protein is naturally high in branched chain amino acids. Branched chain amino acids are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Multiple studies have shown that these branched chain amino acids actually help prevent sarcopenia. So sarcopenia is going to be that loss of muscle as we age. We need to maintain that. So leucine, it actually slows down the destruction of muscle tissue. What it does is it actually increases the synthesis of muscle proteins, okay? Isoleucine, another branched chain amino acid, increases things like endurance, repairs muscle, boosts energy, and aids in physical activity and recovery. Now, the first thing you might think is, well, what if I'm not an athlete? That doesn't really apply to me. Well, you're an athlete as far as getting groceries into the house, right? You're an athlete as far as you need to mow the lawn, you need to move this, you need to walk up the stairs, you need to be able to walk down the street. Those are physical activities that isoleucine is able to increase. Valine, this is the third branched chain amino acid, promotes growth, repairs tissues, regulates blood sugar, enhances energy and brain function. These three branched chain amino acids, these are naturally high in pea protein. This is what we get out of ProPeas. Now, there's two other amino acids that I want to talk about. And these amino acids are cysteine and methionine. Now, these are naturally lower in pea protein. Now, these two amino acids are really high in animal proteins. Let's say whey protein, beef, eggs, anything like that. Cysteine and methionine are both sulfur aminos. Okay, so they actually contain sulfur that acidifies the body. Plant proteins, specifically pea protein, are very low in cysteine and methionine. They're non-essential elements that acidify the body. Now, one of the common misconceptions about acidity is that it's caused by consuming low pH or acidic foods, like lemons and limes. But the fact is that foods that contain sulfur, phosphorus, chlorine, these things acidify the body. Foods that contain things like potassium, magnesium, iron, these things are going to alkalize the body. So by ProPeas being low in these sulfur aminos and high in iron is really going to provide us a very alkalizing protein. And that's going to be opposed to any other protein out there that you look for in the market. So let's just do a little comparison. Let's compare pea protein to, say, like a whey protein. Whey protein is by far the most common protein on the market. If you go into the grocery store, you're going to find whey protein. It's going to cover the shelves. It's cheap, comes from milk, but there's downsides. It's one of 8 of the most common food allergens, milk. It accounts for 90% of all food allergies. And over 50% of children are allergic to milk, which that caught me by surprise quite a bit. So you have people that are allergic to milk. You have people that really struggle with the digestion of milk. Some people that take whey protein, what they'll notice is they have an increase in flatulence. So they'll start farting quite a bit when they take milk. It's because their body's having a hard time digesting it. And not in the same way that it's pea protein is slowing the digestion. This is actually this is a problem when consuming the whey protein. And then when we look at things like soy protein is another one that's very common. I've actually seen some products out there that claim to be pea proteins, and it's pea protein with added soy protein in there or added rice protein. So they kind of dilute it down because these soy and these rice proteins are very inexpensive. They're very cheap. And so they can kind of dilute the product down and offer it at a lower cost. But soy is another one of the 8 most common allergens. And over 93, and I believe it's even more now, all soybeans are genetically modified. So if you're looking for a non-GMO product with soy included, likely you're not going to find it. The great thing about ProPeas, it is non-GMO. Another one of the issues with soy protein is it's very difficult to remove the fat from soy. And so in a lot of these productions, they have to use solvents to remove some of the fat in order to concentrate the proteins. And it's really a question is, are these solvents then being removed from the product? Once you introduce them into the system, are you getting them out? And so that becomes another question of where's the safety at with these soy proteins? For myself, I want something clean. I want something basic from nature, and that's what pea protein is. It takes peas. It is a clean, cold process of water and pressure that extracts the protein from the pea. That protein is concentrated with no solvents, and then creating our ProPeas with added stevia and vanilla flavor. And actually, the vanilla flavor is even a vegan vanilla. A lot of vanillas out there actually include some things like casein. They include milk or milk-type products. Ours is 100% vegan. So you get ProPeas. You get the non-GMO, you get the gluten-free, vegan, and you get AIM Sport approved, which means that it's actually tested for all banned substances on every production. So we actually ensure that there's no substances that are banned by WADA in the product at all. So just getting back to the safety and efficacy of the AIM products. Well, that's all I have for today's podcast. Really enjoyed everybody being part of it, and we'll see you next time.
The statements made herein have not been evaluated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration or other regulatory agencies. AIM products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Any testimonials should not be construed as representing results everyone can achieve. You've been listening to AIM Products for Nutrition That Works. Please join us again.